Fantasy football managers with Chicago Bears wide receiver DJ Moore and/or the Minnesota Vikings D on their teams had some interesting conclusions to their Week 1 matchups. During the Bears' season-opening clash with the Vikings on Monday Night Football, Moore attempted a desperation lateral to a nearby teammate on the final play of the game. The ball ended up in the hands of Minnesota safety Jay Ward, and the game was over. It was only the start of online outrage from fantasy football managers, with a surprising number claiming Moore's fumble and resulting -2 fantasy points in most leagues lost them their Week 1 matchup. On the other hand, some managers with Minnesota's DST won their matchups because of the forced fumble credited to Vikings nickelback Tavierre Thomas on the play. The heightened implications of the play for fantasy football purposes meant that an otherwise unimportant, game-ending failed lateral instead raised several questions. Did Moore really fumble the ball, or was he down? Did Thomas really force the fumble? Is there a chance of the NFL statisticians overturning their initial rulings to change fantasy football outcomes? Here's what to know. Did DJ Moore fumble? The ruling on the field of the game-ending play on Monday night was that Moore fumbled and the Vikings recovered. Since the result of the play, i.e., it wasn't a touchdown, did not have any bearing on the outcome of the game, the ruling of a fumble did not go to further review. A representative of Elias Sports Bureau, the official statisticians of the NFL, told USA Today, "We do not reverse on-field decisions by the refs." In other words, Moore's lost fumble, regardless of whether it was forced or not, and regardless of whether he may or may not have been down, will count as a lost fumble. That means the play will count against Moore in terms of most leagues' fantasy football scoring. Regardless, USA Today Sports has reached out to ESPN to request alternate angles of the play after finding both the standard broadcast angle and available all-22 film inconclusive. Did Tavierre Thomas force the fumble? Of the multiple pieces of the play, Moore's lost fumble, Thomas's forced fumble, and Ward's recovery of the fumble, it's Thomas's forced fumble that's the most likely to get a stat correction. According to Elias, the forced fumble part, seemingly the most important aspect in the fantasy world, is already slated for a review. Should the official statisticians rescind the forced fumble designation for Thomas, fantasy leagues that award a point or points for the forced fumble statistic would need to remove that extra score for Vikings DST managers. A 1-point swing could be enough to change Week 1 matchup results across a variety of leagues. How do NFL stat corrections work? According to Elias's Contact Us page, the sports data company meets with the NFL every Wednesday to review plays like Moore's fumble and determine whether a stat needs to be changed. Most often, these stat corrections have fantasy football implications, so the NFL announces any official changes on its official fantasy website. Given that Wednesday is review day for the two parties, the league usually announces which stat corrections become official on Thursday morning after the week of action that concluded the previous Monday. Fantasy managers with or playing against the Vikings DST coming out of a tightly contested Week 1 matchup will need to wait until then to see if any stat corrections come out of Moore's fumble on Monday Night Football.